gold is a treasure, and he who possesses it does all he wishes to in this world and succeeds in helping souls into paradise.
Hey, Slider Crusaders, America's the greatest country in the world. Welcome to our special, The History of Gold in America. And that quote from Christopher Columbus is the perfect way to start us off today. So we're going to talk all about gold today. Why? Well, first, Biden is proposing and Congress is passing trillion-dollar bills like it's no big deal. Just like we've lost all perception of what a trillion is. And because it's like 2 trillion, we just see the number 2 and we're like, oh, that's not a lot. You know what I mean? Like to our stupid brains, 800 billion sounds way more than 2 trillion. Because, oh, 800 is bigger than 2. Like, no. $1 trillion is a ton of money. And we're just like, oh, here's a $2 trillion spending bill. Here's a $1.9 trillion COVID bill. Here's a $2 trillion climate change bill. And it just came on. You can't do that. This is unprecedented amount of government spending. And the only way there's not enough money to steal from people. You can't tax this. It's not enough. The only way to do this is to print money. And printing money does not create wealth. Printing money destroys wealth. Can't print more gold. And both sides do it. Republicans and Democrats do this. So there's no way it's going to stop on its own. The ship has sailed. The die is cast, whatever cliche you want to use. There's no way to stop the spending. Now, with all the spending, right? So you with me? So it's spending because these people want to get elected, so they give away free stuff. So it's spending, which leads to printing. Printing leads to inflation. It's the only way this can go. And we already see it with many commodities today. And there's no reason why we couldn't one day end up like Zimbabwe. Remember Zimbabwe a couple years ago? They had crazy hyperinflation. We have a picture, that's bread. That's what it costs to buy a loaf of bread. Okay? They printed, we have the bill here. It's like $1 trillion bill. No, it's 100, there it is. It's 100 trillion. Like, what are we doing? That doesn't make. So that's what happens with inflation. That was just a couple years ago. Oh, we're better than them? Oh, we would never have something like that. No. The only way around this is gold. So I want to take some time here today so we can fully understand gold. What is it? What is gold? Why has it been since the dawn of civilization, the form of currency? And why over any other metal? Why gold versus anything else? Is it just because it's pretty? Let's talk about that first. So here's the periodic table of elements, a little flashback here to ninth grade earth science or whatever, ninth grade chemistry class or whatever. There's 96 natural elements on the periodic table, other than those ones way at the bottom, which I didn't do great in chemistry, so I don't know what the deal with those are. But you got 96 natural occurring elements in the periodic table, right? So the question is, which of these elements could you use as currency? All right. Well, you can't use gases as a currency, so that's the right-hand side of the periodic table. You can't use those. You can't use a gas as a currency. You can't use calcium and sodium because they dissolve in water. So that would be a bummer if you had a bunch of money and then it got wet. It goes away. You can't have anything that corrodes in the air, like iron. So you couldn't use iron for money. And once you knock those off, 56 of them are gone. So you started with 96, now you have 56, boom, gone. Then you got to get rid of everything that's radioactive. Right? You don't want anything radioactive in your pocket. So you start chipping away at the potential elements that we could use, and you're only left with 5. Rhodium, platinum, palladium, gold, and silver. Well, rhodium and palladium weren't discovered until the 1700s. So that's not going to work in ancient Rome. And platinum, the melting point for platinum is 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. So you can't melt it or form it easily. That leaves us with 2, gold and silver. And that ain't changing. We're going to talk in the next segment about some other properties of gold and silver that make it the perfect precious metal as a store of value and the perfect metal as a medium of exchange. And it's really important to understand the fundamental basics of what it is. It's not just because it's pretty. Also, one of the other important elements of gold is it's scarce. There's not much of it. There's not a lot around. All the gold, if you melted it down, guys, we have the picture of this. If you melted all the gold in the world down, check that out. That's all the gold in the world that's ever been mined would fit inside an Olympic-sized swimming pool. If you melt down all the gold in the world, that's how big it is. That's it. Now, I don't know when you look at that, maybe you're like, oh, that's a pretty big chunk. But then you think, no, wait, that's all the gold in the history of the world. You also got to think 50% of all the gold that we use is jewelry. So 50% is jewelry ever. All the kings and queens of all the years, all the Spanish conquistadors, right? From the Aztecs to ancient kings and queens. All of it, thousands of years. All the gold in Fort Knox. All the gold that's ever existed, melted down, can fit inside a swimming pool? That's it? America's got most of it. Look how pretty that is. America's got most of it. We have twice as much as the number 2 and number 3 countries. Germany's got the second most. Italy has got the third most. We got twice as much because America's awesome. The question is, how much more can be mined? So all the gold that's ever been mined, that picture you just saw a second ago, from the California gold rush, ancient times gold rush, modern mining today, right? And imagine the mining operations that exist today in America and in China. All the gold, there's been mined 190,000 tons. 190,000 tons. It's believed there's only 50,000 tons left that could ever be mined. So we got about 20% more, and that's it. And it's hard to get, right? It's like oil. It's harder and harder to get the more we use. Right? Now, the more expensive gold gets, and it's only going to go up, then, it'll make more financial sense to go and get it, and more technologies will come up that we can go get it easier and stuff like that. But not a lot left. It's the only money that's survived. Think about it. There's been different world currencies, sure. The dollar's only the latest, and probably, certainly, won't be the last. Right? Just ask the people of Florence when their currency used to be the world currency, right? Or even the pound, right? I mean, there's always been world currencies. They come and go. Gold has survived thousands of years. Governments always destroy their country's money, just like Zimbabwe. We'll be no different in America. No different than the Weimar Republic in Germany before World War II. Right? We're no better, maybe even worse. Our money will eventually be worth nothing. Why do we think it won't? When you are a student enough of history, and you watch this show enough to know that history repeats itself over and over. There's no reason to believe that it won't repeat itself with money, especially when we're doing the exact same thing that all these governments have done that ultimately destroy their own currency. And you can't go down this road forever. Either we're going to have hyperinflation or some other massive correction to our money supply that's really, really going to hurt. And we're just delaying the inevitable. But gold can't be printed. To people who say it's nothing, then why does the US have so much of it? Why has Russia tripled their gold supply in the last 10 years? Why is China buying as much as they can, and they're pumping out mining operations as fast as they can, and exporting none of it? Why are they keeping all their gold if it's nothing? Human beings haven't changed much in thousands of years. Human nature is the same. And I don't anticipate our desire for gold changing much in our next lifetime either.
Subscribe Subscribe to the First TV today for instant access to exclusive specials and content you actually want to watch. Your support helps the First TV fuel the fight against those seeking to destroy our right to free speech. Simply visit thefirsttv.com/support to join the fight today.